Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Frequency Shift. I'm your host, Dennis, here with.
Max Acosta, and we're very happy to be here today. Frequency Shift, just sharing some of the insights that we have about music and the music we love, right?
Exactly. Unfortunately, our other two co-hosts were unable to make it,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, here me and Max are gonna give you guys what you want, the real music stuff, that real love.
Yes,
So,
that's right. That's right. And today, Dennis, you're gonna be talking about sampling.
yep, the
You
artist
know,
sampling,
yes.
how it blends multiple genres in hip hop, and the beauty that it creates.
Exactly. And I'm going to be talking about later on the show about the influence of Latin music on mainstream music mainly. So we have a good show ahead. Don't move.
So yeah, guys, tune in.
Morris Production. Morris Production.
back. Frequency shift, right?
Right. Yes, sir. You want me to start off, or you want to
Listen,
start off?
what do you got today for our audience?
So today I'm speaking on sampling.
Sampling,
Yeah.
yeah. How important is that?
Right. Honestly, if I could speak about my current experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I was really into growing up and sampling wise was a lot of course, Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
Kanye West is one of my favorite producers when it comes to sampling.
Yes.
Um, just amazing, amazing samples. Um, I think my favorite song would probably be "All Falls Down," which
Mm-hmm.
that let me see
What,
actually.
what song does he sample over there? By the way, I love that song too.
It was Lauren Hill, "Mystery of Iniquity," which is
Mm-hmm.
off her MTV Unplugged, which I know. Do you know what MTV Unplugged is?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the live.
Actually, it was. I don't think they don't do it anymore, right? That was
Yeah,
back in the 90s.
yeah.
Back in my time, by the way. Because I'm old.
Man, I wish I was able to like watch it live. Like
uh,
everything
uh,
I've
uh,
got from was like off YouTube.
uh.
I saw like the Nirvana MTV
Nirvana,
Unplugged.
yeah, I was gonna tell
I
you that
love,
that was one of the biggest, MTV Unplugged, of of its time,
yeah,
when Nirvana came out, and I remember that song. Smells like Teen Spirit. I
yep,
think that's what it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were forced, I believe. I don't know if this is the same performance, but
Hmm.
you remember that they had to lip sync. They like were forced to lip sync,
I didn't know that, by the way.
and he like purposely messed up the
That
lyrics
was
because he
Mr.
was like,
Kurt Cobain.
yeah, um,
Wow.
yeah, he messed up the lyrics. He like was like, you guys really are making me like,
Yeah, because these guys, they were really like true singers. You know what I
yeah,
mean? No lip syncing,
exactly.
none
Like
of that.
imagine being forced to
They were
like,
raw.
yeah, to dumb down your art
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for
Sure.
media, but
Nah, yeah. It's crazy, huh?
but yeah, and I'm so pulling from Rolly.com, which is an article, like an article release website. The birth of the beat, brief history of sampling in hip hop. They say that the next great sampling investment was released in 1979, and it came the form of the Fairlight CMI, one of the earliest digital synthesizers and digital audio workstations, which DAW, digital audio workstation, would be what you would call the system that we're using to shoot this show, to record this show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, GarageBand counts as one, FL Studio, Pro Tools, if you guys know what those are. But yeah, that was one of the
Yeah. For
earliest.
those that don't know, Pro Tool, it's a very high-end, sophisticated software, used to record audio and to mix and also master
Yeah,
audio, right?
exactly. And it was very like that's crazy to me. 1979. Like
Mm.
all of our digital audio workstations were pretty like uh recent, if you would say. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
when was Pro Tools actually like when was
Release?
yeah.
I don't know. I've been a Pro Tool user, I think, since the end of the 90s. I don't know, 98, 97. So I think it's been around for, I don't
Wow.
know, 20
Nine,
or 30 years.
1991.
Wow.
1991 was when it was released, which
Right.
is so computers were made
Mm-hmm.
around that time, but it wasn't as accessible, was it really? Like
Right. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. No, I think at the when computers started the whole thing, I mean, you needed like a whole room to store a
exactly.
computer.
Yeah. They were huge.
Yeah. They will be what our president would call huge.
Huge.
That's crazy. So I think you had a little list of songs, with the time that how many times there were sampled, right? You got that list?
Well, in specific. I wanted to talk about a
Mm-hmm.
producer,
Okay, okay.
or a few producers in mind that have some songs sampled, and I have a list.
Right. Okay.
Um, which one of my favorite producers and one of the most legendary producers of all time, some people would say, is Jay Dilla. Um,
Mm-hmm.
according to Stones Throw Records, Jay Dilla actually um, began working early days in his solo career, um, into like the early 2000s, where he would collaborate with Madlib, um, and they soon created what a group you call J-Lib. Madlib is also another very critically acclaimed producer.
Mm.
You may know him from
Yeah,
his.
I was just about to ask you what song has he produced?
So, do you know who MF Doom is?
No, man.
So MF Doom is this
Haven't gotten there yet, man.
rapper out of New York.
Okay.
He was in a lot of groups. Like,
Uh-huh.
I can't really think of it off rip, like off the top of my head, but he was in a
Mm-hmm.
few rap groups as well as having his own solo career.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's
Um,
kind of like the early hip hop,
yeah,
the old school as they call it
yeah,
today.
yeah. And
Okay.
his gimmick was that he always wore like a mask. It was
Ah.
Doctor Doom, like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Marvel.
Okay, okay. I think
He yeah. So
I now
MF Doom would
remember.
always
Okay.
wear this mask, and
Wow.
he would collaborate with Madlib and create Mad Villain. But um, most of his like collaborations, like
Mm-hmm.
MF Doom used to work very closely with Madlib.
Okay.
Like I think you might not know because you don't know who MF Doom is, but
Right.
there's this song called Rap Snitch Knitches, and that is one of the like I say like most popular, like I guess you could say like a TikTok song, like
Mm-hmm.
how like this generation knows MF Doom or Madlib. Um, but yeah, they work very closely together. And fun fact, Madlib was also Quasimodo. Quasimodo is another like it was a side project. So Madlib is the producer, Quasimodo's a rapper. So he had a
Wow.
separate page where he was the rapper, and
Mm-hmm.
his self-produced projects were amazing. And it's funny because it was like this cute little character, this like yellow cartoonish character, and
That's
that was his
cool.
little
Wow.
like ego. Um, but yeah, he actually sampled so Quasimodo's Green Power sampled Mandrill's Kija. We have Accordion, which is a Mad Villain song, which is
Mm-hmm.
MF Doom and Madlib sampled a melody from the Darediller's track experience. A lot of niche, like you'll notice that a lot of niche records that you won't even
Mm-hmm.
like you wouldn't even think to find that you're not familiar with because these old school producers would go into record stores and just sift,
Right.
find the most random obscure
Right.
records.
Getting the vinyl, right?
Exactly, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
find vinyl records.
And yeah, and I got a question for you. I think if I, if I can clearly remember, I think that what hip hop and rap did at the beginning was sampling, and they took all of these vinyl records and they would listen to a track, they would listen to and they would take certain melodies,
Yeah.
and just integrate it into their song and just make a new song.
Hmm.
And I think that was allowed at first, right? That was permitted. It was
Yeah.
okay to do it. But later, all of these record companies and all of these
Wanted
artists,
to commercialize.
yes, and
Yeah.
they came suing everybody, because you
Yeah.
can actually do that. That's copyright infringement if
Exactly.
someone does that, right?
What do you think about that? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's greedy. I think art should be so like free use. Of course, like credit and give money to those who
Hmm.
worked and put the work in to create the checks, but also like to shut somebody else's piece down because they took from another is kind of I don't know. I don't like it
Hmm.
honestly.
You're touching a very important subject right there. I think that if an artist created a track, I think it should be credited, and also, he should be paid for that. Even if he added just one line of, as part of a lyric, I think it should be credited and paid for. Because imagine creating something. and then it goes viral. You create a song and it goes viral, and then everybody says, "Oh, Dennis wrote this song."
Yeah.
But guess what? Dennis is not getting any money from that.
Yeah.
So, how do you go grocery shopping? How you pay for things, right?
Exactly.
So I think there should be a smart balance with that. I know that copyright laws, they're very strict,
Yeah.
and they're very strict for a reason. I think about 2 or 3 years ago, Dennis, there was a lawsuit
Mhm.
in New York. I think it was in New York, but somebody, just filed a lawsuit, actually suing all of the artists of the reggaeton industry. I don't know if you know about
No,
that,
I
but
did not.
reggaeton, it's a very important rhythm
Yeah.
when it comes to the Latin music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I want you to understand the reason and what happened. Specifically, what happened was that there was this guy in Jamaica that created the rhythm that reggaeton uses as a bass.
Base. Yeah.
Actually, the drum pattern,
Hmm.
that was what it was. The drum pattern
Yeah.
that reggaeton uses, and this guy is suing because he's saying
He
all of the
created it.
artists from 20, 30 years ago where reggaeton started, they use the same pattern.
Yeah.
So if you listen to a reggaeton song, it doesn't matter who sings that, it has the same drum pattern,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Tum, pa, tum, pa, tum.
Bam.
That right?
Yeah.
That is the pattern. So the guy, he went to this court and he filed, and say, hey, you know what? You're using my music. You're using my creation,
Yeah.
and because of that, I want to cut. So that meant basically that every artist, from the newest reggaeton artist to Daddy Yankee, who's um, the most well-known reggaeton artist
Yeah.
in history,
Legend.
they were gonna have to pay,
Yeah.
and we're talking about millions of dollars. Still don't know what happened with the lawsuit, but I think it's a very interesting thing, and it has to do
Yeah.
with sampling because
Exactly.
what every reggaeton artist did was sampling,
Yeah.
the original pattern that
Hmm.
was created in back in the early '90s in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
It is. It is. And it's like, see, that's interesting is how you go about it, because he
Hmm.
went all this time
Saying
without
anything, right?
anything. Yeah. I think he waited till like enough people, like so
uh,
much. He's
uh.
like, oh, I'm gonna be my family's family is
Yes,
gonna be me.
exactly, exactly. And just to be on the clear side here, once you create a song,
Yeah.
once you write a book or something, specifically with songs that I know a little bit about that, I can tell you that this, copyright material is going to be yours forever,
Yeah.
and it's going to be passed on to your family
Yeah.
after you die.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's something else called fair use,
Yeah.
in the law.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think it kind of sucks to that somebody else is, getting rich,
Exactly.
with something you created, you
Facts.
know.
Yeah, and they I went to school for music, and they spoke
Hmm.
on the business side of things, and that's why
Hmm.
they recommend you become a member of like a music
Yeah,
union.
like ASCAP,
Yeah,
BMI.
exactly.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
part of ASCAP, so any
That's
music,
cool,
yeah,
man. Hey,
yeah.
hey, fist bump.
It's like $50 for one time payment,
That's
but
cool.
you become a member, and
I think
so
I think I'll do that too.
yeah, and any music, any like piece I make
Hmm.
and I produce, or like I will register it there so that anywhere it is
Hmm.
played, whether someone plays it on YouTube, in the
Uh huh.
car, if it comes in a
In
movie,
Honolulu, if it
yeah,
plays in
and it
Honolulu,
plays in
you're
Honolulu.
getting a cent out of.
Yeah, if I get put on the radio, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and it makes sure that like you're being paid for your work, which
Hmm.
is a good imagine 30 years ago if this guy who originated
Uh
this
huh.
sample
Uh
was
huh.
able to become a member, would it
Yeah,
still
yeah.
be as critical? Like, you think that would the reggaeton artist still be able to
Mm.
sample that? Like, I
And it's okay. By the way, Dennis,
yeah.
let me tell you something. It's okay to sample as long as you credit the original artist. If you credit the original artist, and actually, get the percentage right. What they call in music producing a split sheet. If you get all that right, it's okay. You're not gonna have any problems with anybody.
Exactly.
But even artists as big as Bad Bunny, for example, who played recently
Super Bowl.
at the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, all of these artists before they release a song, if they're using a sample of any artist, they have to go first through that process.
Exactly. But yeah, that was all right. Our first segment. We're gonna catch you guys here with a break real soon.
Give me some music, Dennis.
Yeah.
Give me some music.
All right, let's
I just
go
want
on
to
this
hear
break.
some. We'll be back with Frequency Shift. And we're back with Frequency Shift. This is Max Acosta, your host. Joined here by my brother from another mother, Dennis.
Dennis. All right. So I just wanted to close off
hmm
talking about Jay Dilla, the history of his life. Jay Dilla, Torres, early 2000s, right, was diagnosed with thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, right, TTP, which TTP actually is it's a life-threatening blood disorder where small blood clots start forming throughout your body, and they consume a lot of platelets, They restrict blood flow to your organs,
Wow.
right? Jay Dilla, right, was diagnosed with this, and he was very frequently hospitalized. In this time, he was working on a project called Donuts, which reportedly was actually mostly produced while he was in the hospital,
Wow.
or recovering from the hospital. This album was actually released on his 32nd birthday, just 3 days before he died in 2000, in
Oh my God.
2006. Um, Jay Dilla was literally making beats while fighting for his life, turning
Mm.
samples into something emotional and timeless. Um, and it was beautiful because there's this song that is very, 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 like, I love this song to death, and it is so beautiful. And he dedicated it to his mother. Um, and it's called literally called "Don't Cry" by Jay Dilla, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend you guys to go ahead and give this song a listen. If your heart can take it, it's beautiful. Um,
What is the name again for our audience to look it up?
it's called "Don't Cry" by Jay Dilla.
Okay.
And it samples two songs. It samples "I Can't Stand to See You Cry" by the Escorts, and the "Hello Young Lovers" Cloud 9 / If I Didn't Care by the Temptations. Do you know the Temptations?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I listen to that band.
Um, and it is dedicated to his mother. You know,
Wow.
no, he knew he was gonna pass, and he
Mm-hmm.
dedicated that song to his mother to, tell her don't cry. And
Wow.
um, it's crazy because I think that like a lot of producers will communicate through beats, and it's like
Of course.
even rhythm talks. Even when you don't have an artist singing or rapping on the beat, I think the rhythm will speak for itself. There's so many songs like that, and that's something that I feel like Jay Dilla was
Mm-hmm.
such a just such a goat at. He was so good at that.
Right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, that's what I wanted to close it off with. Um, all information received off was from Stone's Throw Record, which is
Mm-hmm.
the record label that Jay Dilla was signed under. But yeah, I'm gonna catch you guys here with a break shortly, and we will return with Max.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We'll be back. And we're back with more frequency shift. This is your host Max, and with my brother here,
Dennis.
Dennis. I think it's been a good show so far, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've been
And we still got more.
knocking it out. We're knocking stuff out.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Dennis, today I'd like to talk to our audience about the influence and evolution of Latin music in the United States, especially with everything that it's going on right now. Things that actually involve the Latino community and the immigration, the USCIS. Basically, I think it's very important for me as a Latino to talk about the influence of our music in this beautiful country. According to the PBS documentary series Latin Music USA, Latin music has been a part of a vibrant musical conversation that helped shape American popular music for over a century. My brother Denis. So I would say that the first breakthrough of Latin music started in 1958 with Richie Valens, or when Richie Valens released La Bamba. Do you remember that song? Para bailar la bamba.
Yeah,
Yeah, you remember
yeah,
that? So that was the first breakthrough of our music in this country, 1958. And according to historical chart records and music historians, this was one of the first Spanish language songs to become a major American rock hit. La Bamba proved that Spanish lyrics could live inside American rock and roll
yeah.
because their rhythm was rock and roll at the
Exactly.
time, but they were singing it in Spanish. And I would also say that that moment, that momentum of La Bamba opened the door um, of mainstream to this kind of music, to
Yeah.
Latin music. After that, in 1962, Tito Puente. You remember Tito Puente?
These names are sounding familiar. I feel like my
Yes,
granddad probably.
yes.
My
Tito
granddad
Puente.
for
He
sure.
used to play the timbal, which is the kind of like drums,
Yeah.
right? And Tito Puente, back in 1962, he released Oye Como Va. You
Mm.
remember that song? Oye Como Va.
Yeah.
This has been sampled too, by the way. I don't want to talk about sampling anymore, but I think this has been sampled many, many times, right?
Yeah.
Right. But that same song, the Oye Como Va, or in English it will be How It Goes, listen or hear how it goes, was also sampled, no, covered by Santana, which everybody knows, he's a great singer that was born in Mexico and later came to this country. Santana covered that song, Oye Como Va, on the album called Brazas,
Presence.
which was released back in 1970. Santana brought a version of that song, the first song that was released by Tito Puente. But this version of Santana brought more Latin percussion rhythms directly into Main Street rock radio.
Mm.
This was one of the first times Latin rhythm became central, not a playground in American music.
Yeah.
Uh, then in the 70s, salsa becomes a U.S. urban sound. You know salsa?
Yeah.
Salsa, we're not
Who
talking
doesn't?
about the taco salsa. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the rhythm.
The rhythm salsa.
Yes, you're right. And back in 1974, Celia Cruz released Kimbara.
Kimba,
I-
Kimba,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kimbara, Kimbara, Kimba, Kimbamba.
Yeah,
Guys, I don't
Celia
sing
Cruz
very
is a
well.
Cuban legend,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
there
yeah,
you go. There
yeah.
you go. Our great Celia Cruz. It was actually, this song was the identity for Latino communities in cities like New York,
Yeah.
Miami, and Los Angeles, where there is a great Latino population. Um, According to cultural historians, salsa gave Latino communities a visible and audible presence in American urban culture.
Yeah.
Some people debate if salsa was born in Puerto Rico, if it was born in Cuba,
Mm.
But according to a documentary that I watched, salsa, the name salsa, not the rhythm, but the
Yeah.
name, how they named the rhythm, it was actually coined by a Venezuelan
Yeah.
radio host.
Yeah,
Yes,
Venezuela, yeah.
yes, he was the guy. He was the guy who actually called it salsa for the first time
Yeah.
when a salsa duo, Richie Ray and Bobby Cruz, traveled for a media tour in
Mm.
Venezuela. This guy was the one who called. So what you're saying is called salsa, and they call it salsa because salsa is sauce,
Yeah.
like the sauce you use on spaghetti.
Yeah.
And basically, what he was trying to say, this radio host, was that this music has a lot of flavor,
Yeah.
and that's how they call it salsa. Like you don't eat fish if you're Latino, you don't eat fish without salsa. You need
Exactly.
salsa, eat it using sauce,
Yeah.
you know, so it tastes better.
Exactly.
Later, back in 1980, in the basically in the 1980s,
Mm.
Latin pop did a crossover, and I'm sure that Nerissa, our professor who's listening to this, is going to remember this song, which is Miami Sound Machine, when they released the song Conga back in 1985. That was another, actually, another breakthrough for music. And according to Billboard chart history, Conga became a major crossover hit and helped establish Gloria Estefan as a mainstream pop artist, American pop artist. So this could be considered like the first Latin crossover song because it was in Spanglish.
Yeah.
Conga was in Spanish. I mean, the name is in Spanish, Conga.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say conga in English.
I don't. I don't. I couldn't tell you.
I think it's conga too. I don't know.
Conga. Yeah.
But conga is just a type of drum
Yeah.
that is played mainly in Latin rhythms. Then in the early 1990s, a regional power goes national with Selena. You remember Selena?
Yeah. I
Or
love Selena. I love
yeah,
Selena.
this is Selena. Back in 1992, she released a song Como la Flor, as the
Yeah.
flower. And according to some music historians and chart documentation, Selena's, uh, and we're not talking about Selena Gomez, by the way. We're
No, we're
talking about
talking about
Selena.
Selena.
Selena, right? Selena, so says, brought Tejano music to national visibility, right? Then in the 90s, end of the 90s, we had the Latin pop explosion with Ricky Martin releasing Living La Vida Loca.
Another banger.
My
Another.
brother,
Yeah.
what a song! What a song! The song was originally in Spanish, then they translated into English, and I think it was actually a bilingual version because I think how the song goes, he says like the verses in English, and then I think the chorus goes like "Living la vida loca,"
Loca.
which
Yeah.
is like a mix
Viviendo la. Yeah.
between the two languages. Then in the 2004 specifically, Daddy Yankee released La Gasolina. Who doesn't know that song? A ella le gusta la gasolina.
Gasolina.
Right, wow, what a song. According to Billboard and music historians, Gasolina is widely credited with launching reggaeton into global mainstream recognition. Um, and I guess closer to our days, in the 2017, the same Daddy Yankee, let me tell you, together with Luis Fonsi, who's a pop singer from Puerto Rico, they release Despacito.
Who doesn't know this?
My
Facito.
brother, who hasn't danced? Who hasn't danced that song? Despacito. And Despacito, which is a remix, by the way, because I think it was originally released in a pop version and then it was remixed by Daddy Yankee
Yeah.
and Luis Fonsi. Uh, Later, actually, Justin Bieber remixed that song
Yeah.
and he spent 16 weeks at number one on Billboard Hot 100 according to their website. And according to industry analysts, streaming platforms remove language barriers and allow Spanish language music to complete globally without translation. Despacito was not a crossover, it was dominance of the Latin music.
That is.
So I think, guys, we're going to go to a break
Yeah.
and we'll be back.
Yeah.
This is Frequency Shift.
Hey guys, welcome back to Frequency Shift here with your host Dennis and
Max right here, giving you some of the classics here and talking about music history and, just having a good time
yeah,
here with my brother Denis. I think we have come to the end of our show for today. We'll be back next week with more of Frequency Shift. Don't forget to tune in. We're here every Tuesday at 10,
10
right?
yeah 10 a.m. to
Not 10
10
p.m., 10 a.m., right?
yeah 10 a.m. to 10:55. Maybe we'll have a nice show soon, but
Yeah.
but glad hope you guys like our segment. Y'all have a wonderful, great Tuesday, great rest of your week, and we will catch you at the next one.
Yes, and before we go to our friend Josh, we really hope that he gets better. He didn't feel good today.
Yeah,
Think he ate some McDonald's at night or something. No, I'm just
little
kidding.
too late. Emily as well. Hoping
Yes.
Emily, you guys a speedy recovery. So yeah, y'all have a good one and have a wonderful Tuesday.